Well, that little dramatic opening was just my way of introducing you to this video. What you are about to see is a walk-around tour of a motorcycle which is currently being offered for sale. And I think you'll be able to tell as we proceed through this tour, merely on the basis of the visuals, what I mean when I say it's a very special motorcycle. But I will also describe to you the features that make it so as we go along. So the first thing that I want you to be aware of is the conditions under which this motorcycle is currently being kept, which are as impeccable as I can make them, because this bike deserves nothing less. So what you'll notice here is that the bike is undercover. A bike cover that was designed specifically for the model by the maker of the motorcycle, and it has always been kept that way for its entire life. The other thing you'll notice is that the motorcycle is on a battery tender. It's always kept that way. You'll also notice that the environment is very clean and climate controlled. So all of these things add up to a nearly ideal environment to keep a motorcycle over a long period of time with a minimal amount of deterioration. So that's the basic setup. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go over and take the cover off of the motorcycle, and I'm going to pull it out here into the driveway so we can do a little easier walk around, and we'll proceed with the video. I would also like you to be aware of one other thing. Motorcycles are a very personal thing, and typically they are owned, ridden, maintained by a single person. Now, what that means is that that single person typically will modify the motorcycle to their liking, which is only normal. They will make certain enhancements to the bike and all of that. But I want you to be aware that this motorcycle has not been touched in that way by anyone in its entire history. All right, we are back. Now, most of you probably already knew before you even started this video what it was we are talking about here. But just in case you're not, let me fill you in on what you're looking at. This is a 2001 BMW K1200RS. That would make this particular motorcycle 21 years old. It is being offered for sale, as I just mentioned, as a very special bike, and what makes it special is, number one, the mileage. It currently has on it a mere 2,750 miles. But I think even more significant than that, because of the time, the duration from its manufacture, a lot of things can transpire over the course of 21 years, especially when you're talking about a motor vehicle. So what I first want to note about this bike, because it is being offered for sale and it is being described as in mint condition, I have also described it as being showroom quality. I don't use those words lightly at all. So one of the things that makes this motorcycle remarkable is the conditions under which it has been stored over all these years, which is to say, ideally. In really every sense of the word, ideally. We're talking climate controlled, we're talking covered, we're talking humidity managed, obviously weather tight, dry. You know, the list is fairly extensive when you are intending to store a vehicle over a long period of time and have it deteriorate as little as possible. And I can safely say that this motorcycle has had them all. Now, I am the second owner. But what's significant about that is that I purchased this motorcycle from its original owner, who was a neighbor of mine, and I know this bike's history from day one. And that is the very reason that I sought it out to purchase it, was because I did know its history. And I did know how carefully it has been preserved over all of these years. You'll see as we walk around what I'm talking about, but I just want you to know that I do not use the words mint. I do not use the word showroom quality lightly. So I'll give you an example of what I mean when I say showroom quality. What I'm talking about is taking a motorcycle, putting it back on the dealer's showroom floor, setting the odometer to 0 miles, and having no one question that it isn't a brand new vehicle. No one would question that. You could put this motorcycle back on a BMW showroom floor with 0 miles on the clock, and no one would question that this bike didn't just roll off the assembly line. So that's what I'm talking about when I say showroom quality. Mint condition also assumes proper care and storage during the time this motorcycle has been around. And again, I will say that it meets that criteria in every way. So let's take a look at this bike. I'm just going to walk around. Seems I have a fairly long lens on this camera, so I'm going to have to kind of stand back a little bit. But let's take a look at this bike, and you will see what I'm talking about, but I'll try and describe it as best as I can. So first of all, we just want to note the quality of the paint, which is remarkable and flawless everywhere you look. I mean, you know, there really aren't any words to describe other than showroom quality, how this bike appears. Things like the plexiglass. I think you're all familiar with windscreens, plexiglass. They deteriorate over time. They get a little cloudy. They get a little scratchy. These are crystal clear. The headlight lens, the windscreen, everywhere you look, the plexiglass. And we'll show you the dash in just a moment because there's plexiglass covers on the gauges. They are all crystal clear. The paint is flawless, as I said. And I also want to make another note about how unmolested this bike is. And when I talk about molested, I talk about basically any time you turn a wrench on a motorcycle for the sake of modifying it, it's void of that. So things that you would normally expect an owner to change would be things like the windscreen, maybe a taller one. It would be things like the rearview mirrors. There are many aftermarket rearview mirrors that are claimed to be better. I don't know if that's even true or not, but these are the originals. Things like hand grips often get changed out to suit the owner's taste. Let's see, what am I forgetting? The seat. The seat is often changed out for a custom one for a variety of reasons. But as you can see, this is the original stock seat, and it is, of course, flawless in every way. I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. These are typical things that an owner would do to modify a bike to their own liking. So then I will say one word about the tires. The tires are in excellent condition. They probably have 500 miles on them. But they are, at this point, 10 years old. So I think prudence would dictate. Manufacturers say maximum 10 years. You'll want to swap out your tire. A lot of people say sooner than that. And you can't be too safe, right? But I just wanted to leave these tires on there for a couple of reasons. First of all, to show that in 10 years it has really barely traveled much at all, but also to allow any new owner to replace the tires at their own discretion and to suit their own taste. So let me kind of zoom in here on the cockpit so you can see what I was talking about as far as the clarity of the lenses on the gauges, and the clarity of the windscreen. And I don't know if you can see the mileage on the odometer there. It says 2,750 miles. Everything works, obviously, as it did on day one. There just are no flaws. There just is nothing really to talk about that you wouldn't have said when the bike sat on the dealer's showroom floor. It is that perfect. So what we have here is a truly mint condition 2001 BMW K1200RS that runs flawlessly, looks flawless, is ready for a long life. A couple of other things I will say about the care of the motorcycle is that it has always been fed ethanol-free fuel. There were probably a couple of rare instances where ethanol fuel, but it is, most of the, I got the bike with 2,000 miles on it. Most of that 2,000 miles occurred in its first 3 or 4 years of life. It was stored, and impeccably stored, I might add, as I mentioned, beyond that. So I can honestly say that the number of times that ethanol fuel was used is very, very few. In fact, the number of times it was filled up have been very, very few, with only 2,000 miles, 2,700 miles on it. So in any case, I am going to say, probably without much fear of contradiction, that it would be hard to imagine that there is a finer specimen of a K1200RS remaining on the planet. Just can't even imagine that it would exist, because the care and attention to the maintaining this bike in its showroom condition has been extensive. The mileage has been minimal. So it would just be really difficult to imagine that all of those conditions have been duplicated anywhere else by anybody. So you begin to see why I have listed this bike as remarkable, as mint condition, as showroom quality. It is all of those things and more. I take those words seriously. I trust that you do too. And I just want you to be assured that this machine is just as remarkable as it appears to be. Is there anything I'm forgetting to show you? I could probably bring the camera down here. The front of the engine is always a place where a lot of dirt gets thrown up and rocks, and it looks kind of grody. But as you can see, this one is just, impeccable. I really wish, maybe I can actually kind of get into some of there's just not even any dust or dirt or anything on this bike. It is truly remarkable. The underside of the fender back there is clean. I don't know what else to say. It is truly showroom quality in every way. and I just want to demonstrate that in video form, just to reassure anybody looking at this that this is not hyperbole. I'm not just making this up. I'm not, this isn't a sales pitch. It's a statement of fact. Oh, I forgot to close the little port there for the battery charger. I seriously hope that this video is confirmation of everything that I have said about this bike and leaves very little question in anybody's mind about the condition of this bike. You could literally, this is a beautiful bike any way you look at it. I feel sometimes like it should be put on a pedestal in somebody's living room rather than ridden, but I'll leave that up to whoever buys it. It'd be a shame because it's such a work of art and such a work of engineering art as well. But again, I think that to some degree, and depending upon the buyer, the value will be to some degree in the uniqueness of it, the rarity of it. I just don't believe there is another one on the planet that is in this condition. And if that matters to you, then this bike will have value above and beyond its value as a new vehicle. So I'll leave that up to you to decide, but these motorcycles will typically travel easily 100,000+ miles before they need any serious maintenance. So its life hasn't even begun. And if you would just like a motorcycle that is going to be around for a long time to come and serve you really well as a fun ride, and if you have a particular penchant for the K1200RS, this is your bike. And I love that graphite gray. I just think it's magnificent color. But I'm not going to zero in any other areas of the bike because there's just really nothing to show you that isn't showroom quality. So I think I'll leave it at that. I do hope you will get in touch with me and we'll have a talk about it. If you have any questions, if you, of course, would like me to video anything about the bike specifically, I'd be happy to do that. Most of the things about the bike are well known. Heated grips, height adjustable handlebars, height adjustable seat, height adjustable foot pegs. BMW doesn't mess around when they build something, so it was built really well. And it's 6-speed transmission, by the way, shaft drive, single-sided swing arm. These are all very special features all by themselves. And like I said, it runs impeccably. I have driven it, and it's just flawless. It's just like you would expect a brand new bike to run. So, again, I think I will leave it at that. There just isn't much else to say. I just wanted you to have this visual confirmation of the language that I've used to describe the bike and know what you are buying is near perfect an example of a 2001 K1200RS as exists on the planet today. So I hope to hear from you. Thank you very much.